Hello everyone and welcome to ZP Productions, and today is another dongle day, and you can see that this is the Tube Mini Balance headphone amplifier deck. This is the dongle from Woo Audio and it's a very interesting one. I mean, this is a relatively big dongle itself and it is with tubes. That's the important part. Now, normally I don't want to buy anything that, sound too normal because I have many things that sound normal already. So it's all these little fun different dongles that I'm trying to collect now because they do add some value. So let's take a look at, this Woo Audio. I will unbox it. This is actually the proper retail packaging. And then we'll take a look at what's inside and how does it sound. How does it compare to, let's say, the CN here, this is the RU7, which I recently just put up the video on the unboxing. And then I'll try out with various headphones and give a very initial impression. Now for this, I like to thank AV1. Now this is not a sponsor set. This is my own purchase set because I went to their shop, tested it out for like an hour, was really impressed with it, even though there are some shortfalls which I want to share in this particular video here so that you know about the issues. Now, without wasting time, let's unbox this thing here. Now, I do know because I opened the initial one already. This is a box inside a box, but that's about it. I have not seen what's inside this box yet. You can see that this is silk set. It's my set here. It's red in color, and I'm going to do the proper unboxing in front of the camera now. Oh, actually, I didn't need to do that. Okay. So pulling it out, you will see that this is a box, empty box here, and then with some, I guess, important things to read before, some USB-C connect, best with hard to drive, hard full-size headphone, full output when powered on. Please follow the connection result outline here for the best result. Phone call blah 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 will create problem. Cellular will create problem. Tapping on the tube will create ringing. So they kind of really caveat many things, because I can tell you that a lot of these are actually true, and I want to share with you how troublesome it is actually to actually use this thing, but it is really interesting. I mean, when I try in the shop, it is totally different. Now this is the case here. It is a semi-hard case. I didn't know. Let's unzip this thing out, and then inside this case is the amp deck dongle. Let me pull the dongle out. Unboxing is always fun. Okay, this is the dongle itself. It is a really big dongle. It does come with a cable here. This is the it does come with a cable here, USB-C to USB-A. Well, I have my own cable, so I'm not going to use it. Now, this is the dongle here. Now, you've been wondering, why did Woo make a USB-A? Why not USB-C? Why not USB-C receptacle? I have no idea why. Based on what I read online is that this is supposed to be more durable, but I thought that a USB-C receptacle will be better, which means a USB-C female, rather than some male port here. I guess the nice thing is that you can actually plug into a computer directly, but I think a lot of computers today are running short of USB-A ports, and they are mainly USB-C like the Apple stuff. So I'm not really sure about the thought process. Now let's take a look at the dongle here. Now this is a brand new set, so let's take a look at it. Now it is a balanced and unbalanced out. This is the two outputs here. And then you look at the side here, there is a play button and a single-ended and balance switch. So the thing about this dongle itself is that the output is dependent on this switch itself. So depending on what you switch, it will output. My guess is that this is actually a single-ended regardless. That's why you probably have to switch it. But in essence, the amplification is the same. Now I haven't tried it, so I'm not too sure about it. I haven't read about it too. So maybe I'll try it after this video here. Now you can see that these are the switches. This is a plus and minus. Now, based on what I tried in the shop, I'm going to double confirm later, is that these are just switches to control the laptop output to this deck. So the interesting part of this switch is that on my my M17 Fiio, which I tried in the shop itself, I can control the volume of this through the knob, not through this button, because I use the knob as the controller, and they say that the knob is the controller and pressing the buttons don't work. Very interesting error message on my M17. And this is a play and pause button. So it feels like this dongle is like acting as a controller. the amp probably works at full power all the time, and then it is attenuated by whatever is, you know, in the software on the either the laptop or the DAP itself. Now, without wasting time, let's try this out. So just for a size comparison, this is a very huge dongle. This is the Canon. You can see it's so small, and this is the Woo Audio Tube Mini. It is a huge dongle, you can see. Okay, so that's about it. Let's put this aside, and then let's try to weigh this thing first. I'm also interested to know what is the weight like. Now, just for reference, usual dongle with the cover, which is the Canon RU7 here, weighs 31.9, 31.8 grams, so 32 grams. Now, this one weighs 59.4, twice the weight, and it literally looks twice the size too, which is okay, I guess, as long as it sounds great. So without wasting time, let's try the sound out. So how am I going to try the sound out? Okay, so this dongle has a lot of, you know, things that you need to take note of. Firstly, this dongle cannot be used portable. Any shake will have a ringing sound, and I tried in the shop, it is ringing like crazy. If you use a very sensitive IEM, it will ring like crazy. In fact, let me demonstrate to you guys the ringing later. And next is that there is a loud pop when you first activate this dongle itself. I'm not sure whether if you switch between dongles, the loud pop will happen, but I'm guessing that on a headphone, it probably don't matter so much. But I'm going to try it out, and then we'll see how. I'll get a headphone that probably won't get destroyed in the process, because this guy outputs like, say, 1 watt in 8 ohms according to them. I'll plug my DCA Stealth in to try, because that headphone is easily something that can go to 114 decibels, which need more than a watt of power into that 23 ohms of its headphone itself. So I'm sure that this one doesn't output 1 watt of power into 23 ohms. So that's something I will try later. And then supposedly, you are supposed to run a few procedures, but I tried in the shop, you don't really need to do too much. I mean, you just need to make sure that when you first plug in your headphone, it's some other switch itself. When you plug it in and then switch it back, it's fine. But I'm not too sure. I will try it. I mean, I may create something very uncomfortable in this video here for myself, but maybe it will be fine. This is the Quest Style, and I feel that the Quest Style is probably a more normal sounding dongle than the RU7. The RU7 being a 1-bit resistor sounds actually very different. Let me change to the M15 here, the Quest Style M15. Okay, I will also try with the RU7 later. Then I'll connect in the Tube Mini here. So the Tube Mini is really, really pretty. So when you first connect it up, there's a nice little glow there that shows that it's working. Very nice glow. Okay, so now both of them are connected now. We will connect in the earphones. In fact, but let me try and show you something first. So it's recommended that I switch to balance, then I switch to single-ended only after I plug in my earphones. And then I better turn down the volume here. Now that I got everything connected, so let's give a listen itself. So I already let the amp sit here for some time. Let me plug into the single-ended out, switch to the single-ended mode. Let's take a listen. So straight away, actually, I can hear the noise floor of this amp. Now, it's actually quite soft. It's just a soft hiss, but it'll probably not detract too much from the music experience. So let's have a listen to the first one, which is Ibarra. Okay, so I've heard a portion of the song now. Let me swap over. I heard this. Let us go back here again. Okay, so I have done the comparison, the very initial comparison using this song, Ibarra here. Now I connected the M15 to my DAP here and my Tube Mini to my laptop, and that's because, for some reason my laptop is not detecting my M15 today. But I can tell you that, ultimately these are guys who are going to, process the audio signal. The difference is quite apparent in a few ways. Firstly, the Tube Mini, compared to the the Crystal M15 here, the bass is not as impactful. It's a bit more rounded. The M15 here is very, I think, a lot in quantity, and also I think it slams harder and quicker. That's the first one. The second thing I noticed also is that the soundstage difference. The Tube Mini is huge, man. I mean, easily like 10-20% difference. It's larger. It's just larger all around. And then the last thing I noticed is how the mids are rendered. There is this like high quality radio sound. That's how I put it for the Tube Mini. It really sounds sweeter, but it's the kind of sweeter that is something that I think we can relate to from audio equipment in the past. There's this very analog-like sound versus the M15 here, which is really, really clean and neat. Like literally the sound here is, I can call it neat, while this one is like, there's this slight distortion you're hearing that is very enjoyable. So I'll try one more song with this setup here, then I'll swap to headphones and have a listen after that. So the next song I will use is usually the song that I like to use for purpose of soundstage and airiness and vocals. So the song I'll use is actually Comet. You can actually find the song in iTunes, and it's by Ari, my friend. She sings a really nice version of this one, very airy, very smooth and nice edition. So let's have a listen. First, I will listen to the M15 first since it's really connected. So I'm swapping to the Tube Mini now. Straight away you can hear the low hiss, and then when you first plug in, there's the ringing sound. I will demonstrate the ringing sound at the end of this video. So I have done the comparison between M15 and the Tube Mini for this particular song, which is the cover of Comet from Ari. My first impression is how her vocals are just pushed forward slightly, yet retain this really smooth and really, I don't know, slightly, you can feel that there's this slight distortion, but it's like this very smooth distortion to her voice. Like, it feels really natural and nice. That's how I can, really put it. And then also it disperses the voice slightly. So whenever I swap to the M15, it always gives this feeling that, it's focused. And it feels very like a song, a very focused song that is played well. While on the Tube Mini, there's this slight dispersion that makes it, I don't know, very enjoyable. And also the vocals are just pushed slightly forward. So that is really different. Okay, once again, the soundstage is also larger on the Tube Mini significantly versus the M15. Now, that is it for the IEMs. So, this is the EA1000, very, very sensitive IEM. So let's try with the next IEM. Now, the next one I'll try will be using this. This is it's just a bundle of wire now. It's the Hidiz MS3. Now this is not as sensitive, and it has a relatively peaky high mids, which I don't always enjoy, but with certain combination it's pretty good. So let's hear it now. So the difference is that this will be running through a balanced connection. Does it make a difference? I have no idea. Let's hear Comet again. Okay, the hiss is still really strong for this. In fact, it's actually stronger for this. The effects are pretty much the same with the Hidiz here. It's just that touch smoother with that, I don't know, slight distortion that you get like in high quality radio kind of feel. I mean, it's quite an enjoyable one. I mean, this distortion is very mild. If you really hear radio in the past, the slight analogish sound, that is pretty much how it feels. I mean, I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or bad thing. I mean, I enjoy it. It adds value for the purpose of vocals in airy songs, but I don't think it's something that everybody like. But this multi-driver type of IEMs together with the Tube Mini is quite bad. The hiss is insane, the ringing is really loud. So I don't recommend this, at least not with the Tube Mini, even though it sounds way better on the Tube Mini than on the M15. On the M15, it really brings out that perky high mids, which I didn't like. And the Tube Mini is like smooth as heck, and it's enjoyable. Okay, that is it for the IEM side of things. So let's try headphones. So headphones wise, well, the first headphone I'll try is with this. So this is the Aeolus, and this is stabilized edition. And I'm going to try this. Now this one has slightly perky upper mids or so it's a bit sparkly and hot at times. So let's try with the Tube Mini. Using these headphones, no noticeable hiss. Yeah, minimal noticeable hiss, and also the ringing is really not noticeable. No, just now when with the IEMs, just plugging in the connector rings. So now with headphones, it doesn't. Okay, I have a first impression here. Surprisingly good one. So the impression with the Aeolus is that it gives a slightly nasally sound, just a slight touch of nasally sound, but it opens the sound significantly. Now, unlike the IEMs just now, which felt a bit like more analog, high quality analog radio, this one doesn't exhibit that effect. However, it shows that there's this just slight touch of nasally sound on the Tube Mini itself. In addition to that, it opens out the sound itself, like the sound feels like it's free. That's how I would describe it. The sound feels like it's free versus the M15, which feels like it's focused and locked up in a certain, position. It's quite interesting. No hiss, no hum, very minimal ringing if you're using with the Aeolus, but it does improve the vocals significantly. Now, let me try something with bass to just make sure. So, I think the biggest difference when switching from the Tube Mini to the M15 is the loss of the holographic effect that the Tube is somewhat giving, but the M15 just feels more focused and more clear, like all round clarity itself. It's just focused and clear, but it loses that holographic, the positioning, the clapping at the start feels like all clumped together, while the Tube Mini splits it out to the left and right channels really nicely. I mean, I'll just hear one last time before I conclude this section. So after testing both of them, it really confirms a few things. Firstly, with the Aeolus itself, it's still pretty good sounding. The difference is really the spread. The Tube Mini just spreads the sound out itself. So the clapping in the start, the guitar feels like spread out rather than clumped together that I get on the M15. But the M15 does have this clarity, this solid body effect, while the Tube Mini just feels a little bit more, I guess, not that it's thin, but more like soft. There's this slight softness to the music, the sound itself, that gives this really enjoyable effect. It's like probably the Tube Mini you can close your eye and just sleep, while with the M15 you'll be very engaged in it. That is the impression I have using the Aeolus. And I also noticed that it doesn't have this peaky sound. Let me try one last time. Okay, so it also does reduce that peakiness of the Aeolus, and there's also this slightly, nasally, slightly step back in the vocals. For very interesting effect for at least Ibarra itself. I do quite like it. I quite like the dispersed nature. I mean, the bigger sound, the more holographic feeling, and the part where any of the more perky part of her vocals in Ibarra for Edo is just kind of smoothed out just slightly on the Tube Mini itself. I think Tube Mini with this Aeolus is like way better. Okay, with that, this is for the Aeolus. Now let's move on to the next headphone. Oh my god. Okay. So for the next headphone I'm going to try is with the DCA Stealth. Now I heard it in the shop already just now, but that was shop condition, not the greatest. So let's hear it out now in a very quiet room and hear the difference. So I'll hear the Tube Mini first. Same Ibarra. Yep, similar to the Aeolus and many other things I said before, there's this solid sounding part of things in the M15, while the Tube Mini just spreads it out and feels a lot more relaxed in the sound itself. I do feel that in terms of the difference of quality between the Tube Mini and the M15, at least for the Stealth, is lesser than with the Aeolus. With the Aeolus, you really can feel that dispersion effect. With the Stealth, I would say it's just not as much. You can really feel there's not as much to it. Now you can feel the vocals on the M15 is like focus, while on the Tube Mini is like this very nice spread out sound that is very enjoyable to listen. It makes the sound, the vocals really smooth. I do feel that there is more quantity for the bass in the M15 than the Tube Mini itself. There's this just slight differences to it. And also, as I say again, the impact on the M15 is just more precise. The Tube Mini just feels a bit rounded. But it does make guitar on the Tube Mini very, I don't know how do I put it. The plucking on the string and the strumming in here is like, there's this element of I don't know how to put it, smooth, realistic. No, it doesn't quite get what I want to say. But the guitar is more enjoyable on the Tube Mini than on the M15. Now, if you ask me to give a sum up now, is that the Tube Mini sounds more enjoyable for the purpose of vocals, while the M15 is more enjoyable if you are looking for bass. If you are looking for things like instruments, guitars, and everything else, the Tube Mini does give you a different sound signature. About whether is it better or not, I think it's up to you. But the soundstage on the Tube Mini is just a lot better. It's just a lot more enjoyable, and the dispersion, the holographic feel to it is also a lot better. You just feel that things are being positioned all around that you don't get in the M15 itself. Now, this is really it for the impression. I don't want to spend too much time in doing impression here because I want to show you some other things about the Tube Mini before I end. And first thing I want to show you is the ringing effect. So now let me demonstrate to you guys the ringing effect by just slightly dropping this thing. Now the ringing effect on the IEMs are quite strong. And they last quite long. I mean, they last about 10, 15 to 20, even 30 seconds. On the full-size headphones, I noticed that they end really quick and really fast. So you are not going to be disturbed by the ringing sound on headphones. But on IEMs like this, or the MS5, which actually has more ringing than the EA1000, that is something to note. The next thing is there's supposed to be a pop sound when you're on. Now, I don't want to try that because that is damaging to every single equipment. But if you first plug it in, this amp runs at like full power, and then it will have a pop sound to your headphone and earphones. So never plug it in and on it, together. Never plug your headphones in and on it. The way to do it, as what Wu say, is that if you are using single-handed, just switch to balance and then plug this dongle in, then switch back to single-handed. But do not leave it like balance, imbalance, and then imbalance, and then you plug it in, it will pop, and that can be quite unpleasant itself. So I'll show you the one last thing, which is the electromagnetic interference. The Tube Mini is very sensitive to electromagnetic interference. So let me put my IEM here, and then my phone here. I'll on it and let you guys hear the electromagnetic interference of this device. You can hear that click, 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 click sound, which is really irritating. I mean, I did notice that the Tube Mini is very sensitive to noise, to electromagnetic interference, to knocking, handling. It is relatively troublesome to use. So really, this is not a dongle meant to use truly portable. This is a dongle meant to use when you're on the table like this and in a comfortable position and use it out. Now, there is one last thing I want to just try out, which I didn't get to try just now in the shop, and that is maxing out the power until it distorts. So how do I want to try this out, right? So I have tried with like the RU7 here. The RU7 here goes to something like 94, 95 decibel, and it starts distorting. So how do I know what decibel is, right? So I have a program here called Decibel X on my phone, and it's not super accurate, but it's a good indicator. You can see the numbers are running, and then let's play some song. Okay, let me just ramp this up to 90 decibels and then see whether it distorts. I'll do a short listening. Okay, see, it's going 97, 98 decibels. I did a very quick listen. It's really loud and disturbing. There's no distortion. you can actually hear the music very clearly. Now, let me try one more track at max volume. So you can see that this is playing at a very awesome up to 98 decibel. Okay, I do hear some slight distortion in the bass, but this is like 98 decibels when the bass hits down and then it distorts. Let me try reducing it by one click and then let's listen it again. So I just click one time, reducing the volume down now. Yes, now the bass distortion goes away. You can see it's going like 96. Yeah, and peaks at 97, 98. So what am I trying to demonstrate here is that the Wu Audio Tube Mini is powerful, but it's not like a whole lot of power. You know, even though it's rated at 1 watt at 8 ohms, but you must understand that most of these dongles here are rated at, for example, the CN-E here is 400 milliwatts at 32 ohms. So normally if you count up, then this will be like 8 and 16 watts, 500 milliwatts, and maybe at 32 is like 300, 200 over milliwatts of power, something like this. So if you ask me, the total quality of sound, especially you play that loud just now, was very similar to CN-E. I mean, it's just about 1-2 decibel difference. It may be my measuring using my handphone that is off, you know. So don't be too excited that I will say as don't be too excited that the Tube Mini is supposed to be very, very powerful. It is not very, very powerful. But however, it is powerful enough to play a full-size headphone to unbearable level like just now. I know 90 something decibel average with a 97, 98 decibel peak. That is unbearable to listen. Now in that particular song, its quiet parts are like 85 if I was playing at that volume just now, and then it will max out at 97, so it's a 10 decibel difference. This is also to demonstrate that your headphones need power, but does it need that much power? Are you going to listen that loud? It's another question of its own. So that is of course another whole video of its own. I will not talk about it, but to sum it all up, the Tube Mini is powerful. It definitely has power, but it's not like unique in its class. I mean, the RU7 is really close. I mean, 2-3 decibel difference at most. However, the sound quality of the Tube Mini, at least versus the M15, is very different. The M15 is, really, I think, the hallmark of I would say as a solid state dongle, right? The RU7, why I didn't use the RU7, because this is a one big resistor. It's going to sound very different from other decks. While this one sounds, as good as a lot of high-end solid-state DAC amps out there. And as such, the Tube Mini does give a significant difference in sound quality compared to standard solid-state type of DAC amps. And if you are the type that are looking for a different feel, different sound, Tube Mini is actually something you should consider. It is very different. And with that, I think I have demonstrated many things today, and I hope you enjoy this unboxing and initial impression of the Tube Mini from Wu Audio. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.